I was abused from my father starting from the time I was probably 3 or 4. Started with and eventually he made me his full-time mistress, and he controlled me with fear. I was so afraid of him. And my mom was kind of a weak person, and she knew what he was doing, because I told her twice, and she caught him once, and she wouldn't do anything about it. And so I was abused and abandoned to the abuse by my mom. And so as soon as I was 18 years old, when my dad was at work, I moved out of the house and got an apartment. And then I foolishly married the first guy that showed any interest in me, and he had probably more problems than I did. And that was a 5-year nightmare. And he ran around with other women and stole things and was a con man. And so I had a very interesting time up until the time I was about 23. And then I met Dave. I used to lay in bed with my first husband and pray that someday God would send somebody to love me. And I always said, make it somebody that will take me to church. I wanted to serve God, but I couldn't seem to do it on my own. So Dave, he saw me outside washing my mother's car and thought I was cute, started trying to flirt with me while he didn't like me. And he said, do you want to wash my car when you're done with that one? I said, if you want to wash your car wash, buddy, do it yourself. And he said he knew right that moment I was the girl he was going to marry. Wow. And we had 5 dates, and he asked me to marry him. And we've been married 59 years. As a Christian, I knew I needed to forgive my mom and dad. So I did a little bit, I think. At least I prayed the prayer to forgive them. But I didn't really want to be around them. I didn't want to have anything to do with him. And one morning I was praying, asking God, what do you want me to do? And he told me to bring my parents to St. Louis, here where I live. They lived about 300 miles from here in a small town, and take care of them until they died. And I rebuked the devil.
Our call just got interrupted, God. I think somebody else is just speaking for you.
I did. I said, that's the devil. God, I said, God would not ask me to do that. So the next time I was praying, there it was again. And I thought, well, because we were going to have to buy him a house and a car, and, they were the last people I wanted to spend money on, and we didn't have all that much money. So I thought, well, I'm going to ask Dave, and Dave will tell me no, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
And so when I went to Dave, he said, well, if God told you to do it, you better do it. I thought, thanks, that's a big help. 3 years after we brought my dad here, he never said, thank you, kiss my foot, nothing. And I just kept praying for him to be saved. And one morning, my mother called and said, your dad wants you to come and talk to him. And she said, he's been crying for days. I don't know what's going on. He said, I didn't realize that I was hurting you like I did. And so we asked him, I said, do you want to give your life to the Lord? And he said, yes. And so we prayed the prayer of salvation with him, and he asked us if we would baptize him. And so 10 days later, we baptized him. And he changed. He was a different guy after that. He had such a filthy mouth before, and then he quit cussing. So we had a victory. So I thought I was buying a house and a car, but actually I was buying a soul.